Hi, everyone. I wanted to get your opinion on something that happened to me a few days ago. I, Bridget, 35, female, have been married to my husband Archie, 37, male, for almost 10 years now. Our love story kicked off in a pretty unexpected place, a cozy coffee house. Archie, being the charming guy he is, mustered up the courage to ask me out, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now, as for what we do, well, Archie's in sales, always being a smooth talker, which I guess explains how he won me over. And me, I work as a graphic designer, putting colors and shapes together to make things pop. Our dating life was pretty sweet, nothing too fancy, just a lot of laughs, late night talks, occasional movie nights, cuddled up on the couch. But here's the kicker: our wedding wasn't exactly your fairy tale affair. Nope. It was more of a whirlwind shotgun style event. You see, not long after we started dating, surprise, surprise, I found out I was pregnant. Cue the panic mode. We were both pretty young and hadn't really thought about tying the knot just yet. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, right? So there we were, faced with impending parenthood and a decision of what to do next. We talked it over, weighed our options, and decided to take the plunge, quite literally, into marriage. And let me tell you, planning a wedding in record time is no joke. We scrambled to organize a small ceremony, rounding up family and friends to witness our whirlwind union. But you know what? Despite the rush and the chaos, it felt right. Surrounded by loved ones, we exchanged vows, promising to stick by each other through thick and thin. And you know what else? Nobody seemed to bat an eye at the whole shotgun wedding thing. Our families were over the moon, showering us with love and support every step of the way. My folks and Archie's folks hit it off right from the start, which was such a relief. You never know how families are going to blend, but ours seemed to click instantly. It was like we'd all known each other for years, swapping stories and sharing laughs like old friends. Ah, buckle up because here comes the plot twist. After I gave birth to our daughter, things started to get a bit frosty with my mother in law, Ada, 65, female. At first, I chalked it up to those pesky postpartum hormones wreaking havoc on my emotions, but as time went on, her chilly demeanor didn't thaw out one bit. It was like I'd suddenly become invisible to her. Whenever we were together, she'd barely acknowledge my presence, let alone engage in any meaningful conversation. I tried to strike up a chat, but it was like talking to a brick wall. Talk about awkward. And it wasn't just the silent treatment that got to me. Oh no, she had a knack for making me feel like I was constantly walking on eggshells. Every move I made seemed to be met with disapproval or criticism. Take, for instance, the way she'd nitpick at my cooking. I spent hours slaving away in the kitchen trying to whip up a tasty meal for the family, only to have her pick apart every dish with a laundry list of complaints. Too salty, too bland, too spicy, you name it. She'd find something to gripe about. And let's not even get started on her comments about my parenting skills. It seemed like she had an opinion on everything, from how I dressed the baby to how I handled bedtime routines. No matter what I did, it was never good enough in her eyes. But perhaps the most frustrating part was her constant comparisons between me and Archie's ex girlfriends. Yep, you heard that right. It was like she had a highlight reel of all his past flames. And she wasn't shy about reminding me how they were so much better at this or that. I'd smile and nod, trying to brush off her comments, but inside, it felt like a punch to the gut every time. Here I was, doing my best to be a loving wife and mother, and yet I couldn't shake the feeling that I was always falling short in her eyes. And don't even get me started on the passive aggressive gifts she'd give me on special occasions. You know the ones, the not so subtle hints disguised as presents. Like the cookbook filled with recipes for dishes she knew I couldn't stand, or the parenting book that felt more like a critique of my mothering skills than a helpful guide. It got to the point where I dreaded family gatherings, knowing that I'd have to endure another round of her icy glares and backhanded compliments. But despite it all, I refused to let her negativity chip away at my self esteem. I knew I was a good wife and mother, flaws and all. And while her approval would have been nice, I didn't need it to validate my worth. So I focused on what truly mattered: my family, my happiness, and the love that Archie and I shared, shotgun wedding and all. However, things got even worse when I got pregnant with my second baby. So picture this: I'm pregnant. Archie and I are knee deep in some serious relationship problems, and to top it all off, Ada's chilly attitude is still going strong. Now, Archie and I had our fair share of disagreements, the usual stuff that crops up when two people try to navigate life together. Archie and I might as well have been speaking different languages at times. I tried to express my feelings, he'd clam up. And before we knew it, we were knee deep in a game of emotional charades. We'd both been burned in past relationships, and those scars had a way of rearing their ugly heads when we least expected it. It's hard to let your guard down when you've been hurt before, but therapy helped us start to mend those broken pieces. Between work, household chores, and the general chaos of everyday life, it felt like Archie and I were ships passing in the night. We'd become experts at coexisting, but somewhere along the way, we'd forgotten how to truly connect. And with a kid and another on the way, we were also under a lot of financial stress. Money might not buy happiness, but let me tell you, it sure can cause a whole lot of headaches. We'd argue about budgets, splurges, long term goals until we were both blue in the face. Enter therapy, our saving grace in the midst of the chaos. Week by week, we'd sit down with our therapist and unpack all the baggage we'd been carrying around. They helped us learn new communication strategies, rebuild trust, carve out quality time, and tackle our financial woes head on. Over time, our financial situation also got better. Archie switched jobs and got a huge pay raise. As if dealing with our own relationship struggles wasn't enough, throw in a pregnancy and my mother in law's cold shoulder, and you've got a recipe for emotional overload. Every snide remark, every passive aggressive gesture, it all felt like salt in the wound. I'd be lying if I said it didn't take a toll on me. There were days when I felt like I was drowning in a sea of negativity, struggling to keep my head above water, and with another baby on the way, the pressure felt 10 times heavier. Even after I had another baby, she would come and talk to Archie and talk to the children, but be cold to me. You'd think adding another little nugget to the family would soften her up a bit, but nope, she stayed as icy as ever. She'd breeze into our home, showering Archie and the kids with affection while I got the cold shoulder treatment. It was like a broken record, her nitpicking every little thing I did. From how I dressed the kids to how I folded the laundry, nothing escaped her eagle eye. And let me tell you, trying to juggle the demands of two little ones while dealing with her constant criticism, talk about exhausting. Archie and I were doing our best to navigate the wild ride of parenthood with two kiddos in tow. It was a whirlwind of diapers, late night feedings, and endless rounds of peekaboo. But amidst the chaos, we found moments of joy watching our kids grow and learn, their laughter filling our home with warmth. As for Ada, well, she seemed to have a knack for finding fault in everything I did. even when it came to raising the kids. Like the time she dropped by unannounced and caught me feeding my daughter store bought snacks. You'd think I'd committed a cordial sin the way she carried on about the importance of homemade meals. Well, how about the time she critiqued my choice of daycare for our eldest? According to her, I should have done more research, visited more facilities, yada, yada, yada. Never mind the fact that I'd spend weeks scouring the internet and touring daycare centers to find the best fit for our family. I also hated her unsolicited advice on discipline. Every tantrum, every time out, she had an opinion on how I should handle it. It was like she thought she knew better than me, the woman who actually spent day in and day out with the kids. But despite her constant interference, Archie and I were determined not to let her negativity affect our family dynamic. We leaned on each other for support, finding strength in our love and commitment to each other. And you know what? It made us stronger and more resilient in the face of adversity. Everything took a surprising turn at my mother in law's 65th birthday bash, which went down just last weekend. Picture this: we're all dolled up, heading to the party, ready to celebrate this milestone moment. And let me tell you, I put some serious thought into her gift. Now, picking out a present for someone who's been less than warm and fuzzy towards you, not exactly a walk in the park, but call me optimistic. I figured maybe, just maybe, this could be the olive branch we needed to thaw out the icy vibes between us. After much deliberation, I settled on a pair of stunning diamond earrings. They were similar to a set she'd had years ago, but had unfortunately misplaced. I thought, hey, what better way to show her I care than with a thoughtful gift that harkens back to happier times? So we roll up to the party, gift in hand, ready to make nice and put on a brave face. And you know what? Everything seemed to be going swimmingly. People were laughing, chatting, the whole shebang. I handed over my carefully chosen present, a smile plastered on my face, hoping against hope that this would be the olive branch we needed to mend fences. And for a fleeting moment, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, she actually liked it. But then, just as quickly as the moment came, it vanished. Her expression remained as inscrutable as ever, leaving me to wonder if I'd missed the mark once again. The rest of the party went off without a hitch: cake, candles, the whole 9 yards. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was like a cloud looming over an otherwise sunny day, casting a shadow of doubt over my attempts to bridge the gap between us. However, just when I thought everything was going smoothly, I overheard my mother in law, Ada, talking to my sister in law about how I have the habit of showing off, and that's why I gave her the diamond earrings. Her words cut deep like a knife to the heart. She accused me of having this habit of showing off, implying that my gesture of giving her the diamond earrings was nothing more than a flashy attempt to win her favor. Ouch. I mean, talk about adding insult to injury. Here I was trying to extend an olive branch, and she goes and twisted it into something ugly and malicious. It felt like a slap in the face, to be honest. Like, no matter what I did, it was never good enough for her. So you can imagine the whirlwind of emotions swirling around inside me when I confronted her about it in the kitchen. My heart was pounding. My palms were sweaty. I was a nervous wreck, to say the least. But I couldn't just let her words slide. I needed to know, did she really think I was trying to show off? Was that how she saw me after all this time? It was like a dagger to the heart, hearing her words echo in my mind. And her response, well, let's just say it didn't exactly ease my troubled mind. She brushed it off, saying something about how giving her diamond earrings wasn't the smartest move considering our financial situation. Like that was supposed to make it better somehow. But I wasn't about to let her off the hook that easily. I pressed her, asking if she truly believed I had ulterior motives behind my gift. Did she think I was trying to buy her affection? To win her over with flashy baubles and empty gestures? Or was I just trying to win over my mother in law? She acted surprised, saying what I meant by saying that it would win her over. Well, things went from bad to worse real quick during that kitchen confrontation. I mustered up the courage to lay it all out there. How her constant coldness towards me had been eating away at my soul. But instead of the heartfelt apology or understanding I was hoping for, I was met with a bombshell of accusations. I couldn't believe my ears when Ada hit me with the bombshell, accusing me of trapping her son, Archie. Like, excuse me? Trapping him? How? Last time I checked, it takes two to tango, and Archie was just as much a part of this whirlwind romance as I was. I was floored, to say the least. Trapping him? What on earth was she talking about? I demanded answers, desperate to get to the bottom of this twisted tale she seemed to be spinning. She said she knows the truth. My mother, Jane, 63, female, told her the truth long ago. I had no idea what she meant. So I pressed for more information. And according to Ada, my mom spilled some sort of secret about our shotgun wedding that I had supposedly baby trapped Archie into marrying me by getting pregnant. And not just once, but twice. She accused me of purposely getting pregnant again when Archie and I were going through a rough patch, just so he wouldn't leave me. I was floored, to say the least. It was like a punch to the gut, hearing such outrageous accusations coming from someone I thought I could trust. I mean, how could my own mother feed into such hurtful lies? And why would Ada even believe such nonsense? But despite the disbelief swirling inside me, I knew I had to set the record straight. I squared my shoulders, looked Ada straight in the eye, and told her, in no uncertain terms, that she was dead wrong. I told her how I never once manipulated or coerced Archie into marrying me. Heck, I didn't even bring up the topic of marriage after I found out I was pregnant that first time. It was Archie who made the decision to propose, not me. And as for getting pregnant again during rough patches in our relationship, that was nothing more than a cruel fabrication. Sure, Archie and I had our fair share of ups and downs, but never, not once, did I resort to such manipulative tactics to keep him by my side. I could feel the anger bubbling up inside me, fueling my determination to set the record straight. I told Ada that if she wanted the truth, she could ask her own son. He would set her straight. No doubt about it. I called Archie to the kitchen and told him everything. Archie couldn't believe what he was hearing. He reassured Ada, telling her that I never pressured him into marriage. It was his decision all along. Heck, he'd made up his mind long before I even got pregnant that first time. It was a relief to have him by my side, backing me up with the truth. Ada's reaction? Well, let's just say she was eating humble pie. She realized her mistake, owned up to her misjudgment, and offered up a heartfelt apology for all those years of being cold and standoffish towards me. But even as she apologized, a knot formed in the pit of my stomach. Sure, it felt good to have her finally acknowledge her wrongs, but the damage had been done. Years of frostiness and hostility, all because of a lie spun by my own mother. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, knowing that someone I should have been able to trust had been spreading hurtful lies about me behind my back. It was like a stab in the heart, realizing that the woman who brought me into this world could betray me in such a callous way. So even as Ada apologized and Archie reassured me, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease lingering in the air. How could I move past this? How could I trust my own mother again, knowing that she'd been the source of so much pain and heartache? So I decided that I needed to see my mother immediately. I sent Archie and the kids packing, hopping into a cab, and made a beeline for my mother's place, which was a good hour away. As I sat in the back seat, the tension in the cab was palpable. My mind was racing a mile a minute, thoughts swirling around in a chaotic whirlwind. How could my own mother betray me like this? What had I done to deserve such betrayal? With each passing mile, my anxiety only grew, gnawing away at my insides like a ravenous beast. I needed answers, and I needed them now. So I braced myself for the confrontation that awaited me, steeling my resolve as we drew closer to my mother's doorstep. When I finally arrived, I wasted no time. I barged through the front door, my heart pounding in my chest as I confronted my mother head on. I laid it all out on the table, recounting Ada's accusations and demanding to know the truth. At first, my mom tried to deny it, brushing off my concerns with a dismissive wave of her hand. But when I pressed her, refusing to back down, the truth came tumbling out like a dam bursting under the weight of years of deception. She confessed that yes, she had indeed told Ada those hurtful lies about me trapping Archie into marriage. According to her twisted logic, Archie was too good for me. And this shotgun wedding was the only way I could ever hope to settle him down. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me, the weight of her betrayal pressing down on me like a ton of bricks. How could she say such hurtful things about her own daughter? Didn't she realize the pain and anguish her words had caused? After my confrontation with my mother, it was clear that she wasn't sorry for what she'd done. She didn't even seem to grasp the gravity of her betrayal. It was like a slap in the face, realizing that the woman who was supposed to love and support me unconditionally could be so callous with my feelings. At that moment, I knew I had to draw the line. This was the last straw. Sure, we were never super close, but she was still my mother, and she had shattered my trust in the worst possible way. I told her point blank I was done. Done with her lies, done with her deceit, done with the toxic cycle of hurt and betrayal. I made it crystal clear that I was cutting her off and that she would never get the chance to poison my life or my children's lives with her toxic presence. It was a tough decision, but one I knew in my heart was necessary for my own sanity and well being. Of course, she didn't take it well. She tried shouting, hurling insults my way, calling me an entitled brat, and worse. But I didn't stick around to listen to her tirade. I had said my piece and now it was time to walk away. When I got home, the floodgates opened. I collapsed into Archie's arms, the weight of the day crashing down on me all at once. I cried until there were no tears left, letting his comforting embrace wash away the pain and anguish of the day. But just when I thought maybe, just maybe, I could start to move on from the chaos, my cousin called. And let me tell you, they didn't hold back. They told me straight up that I might have been a little too harsh, that cutting my mother off from her grandchildren might be a step too far. And that made me think, had I been too hasty in my decision? So AITA for cutting off my mother because she lied to my mother-in-law about how I trapped my husband by getting pregnant? Update 1. The next day, after everything happened, Ada showed up at our place with some food. I have to admit, I was taken aback. After everything that had gone down, I wasn't sure what to expect from her. But there she was, standing on our doorstep, looking contrite and apologetic. She wasted no time in getting to the point, offering up a heartfelt apology for the role she played in the whole mess. She admitted that she shouldn't have trusted my mother's words so easily, that she could have saved us all a lot of trouble if she'd just seen through the lies from the start. And you know what? I appreciated her honesty. It takes guts to own up to your mistakes, and I could see that she genuinely regretted her actions. It was like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders, knowing that she finally understood the gravity of the situation. I thanked her for her apology, letting her know that while I was glad there was no more confusion, it would take me some time to fully process everything that had happened. After all, trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight. A lot of people here ask me about my relationship with my mother. There is nothing much to say. Growing up, my mom was always there to provide for me, a roof over my head, food on the table, all that jazz. But when it came to the emotional stuff, well, let's just say she wasn't exactly Mother of the Year material. I guess you could say I had one of those good enough moms, the ones who do the bare minimum to keep their kids alive and kicking, but don't really go above and beyond in the love and nurturing department. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for everything she's done for me, but there's always been this nagging sense of emptiness, this feeling that something vital was missing from our relationship. Maybe I was too stupid to realize it at the time, too caught up in my own little world to see the cracks forming in the facade of our family dynamic. Or maybe I just didn't want to admit that my mom wasn't the picture perfect parent I'd always hoped she'd be. Looking back, it's easy to see the signs: the missed birthdays, the lack of affection, the constant feeling of being misunderstood and unloved. But at the time, I guess I just brushed it all off as normal. After all, isn't that what kids do? They make excuses for their parents and rationalize away their shortcomings because the alternative is too painful to bear. So, no, there wasn't anything specifically wrong or traumatizing about my relationship with my mother. It was more like a slow drip of disappointment, a gradual realization that the person who was supposed to love me unconditionally just couldn't quite measure up to my expectations. But I won't let my past define me. I won't let my relationship with my mother dictate my future, because at the end of the day, I'm more than just the sum of my experiences. I'm a survivor and a fighter. Update 2. Hi guys, it's been a few weeks since my last update, and boy, do I have a big update for you guys. So, remember how I told you about Ada and my mom's little tete a tete? Well, turns out it sparked a full blown showdown. You see, over the years, Ada and my mom had developed this weird sort of relationship. I guess they bonded over shared interests or something. I don't know, but the point is, Ada took what my mom said about me at face value because of their so called friendship. Anyway, fast forward to a few days ago, and Ada decides she's had enough of the lies and deception. She marches right up to my mom outside the church. Yes, you heard that right, outside the church, and lets her have it. From what I heard, it was like something out of a soap opera. There was yelling, finger pointing, and maybe even a few choice words thrown in for good measure. Needless to say, it caused quite the scene, and pretty much everyone in our circle got wind of it. Now, you'd think my mom would be mortified, right? I mean, getting called out like that in public? Talk about embarrassing. But knowing her, she probably just brushed it off like it was no big deal. As for Ada, well, I think she felt pretty relieved to finally get everything off her chest. It was like a weight had been lifted, knowing that she'd stood up for me and set the record straight once and for all. But my mom wasn't going to take it well. She didn't call or text me after I confronted her, but she did start calling me after Ada humiliated her. Suddenly, my phone starts blowing up with voicemails from her, all angry. all blaming me for her newfound misery. She went on and on about how I was ruining her life, how none of her precious church friends would even look her way anymore. But you know what? Not once did she utter a single word of apology to me. Now, normally I must have caved and called her back, tried to smooth things over like the dutiful daughter I am supposed to be, but not this time. No, sir. I've had enough of her lies and manipulation. So I made a decision. I'm not going to stoop to her level. I'm not going to engage in her toxic games anymore. I'm cutting her off for good, and I'm not looking back. Sure, it's a tough pill to swallow, knowing that I'll never have the mother daughter relationship I've always longed for. But sometimes you got to put your own mental health and well being first, even if it means cutting ties with family. Update 3. Hey folks, it's been a minute since my last update, and let me tell you, a whole lot has gone down since then. So, remember how I said I was ready to cut ties with my mom for good? Well, turns out life had other plans for me. Just when I thought I was done with her lies and manipulation, my mom started showing signs of dementia. And let me tell you, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Here I was, ready to wash my hands of her once and for all, and suddenly I was faced with this heartbreaking reality. As her only daughter, I couldn't just turn my back on her, no matter how much she hurt me. It was tough seeing her like that. Confused, frightened, not even recognizing her own daughter. It was like a punch to the gut, knowing that the woman I once knew was slipping away before my very eyes. For a while, my cousin has stepped in to help out, staying with her and providing the care she needs. But if her condition gets worse, we will have to opt for a nursing home where she can get full time care. So, as I stand on the brink of this new chapter in my mom's journey, I can't help but feel a mix of emotions. Sadness, yes, but also a glimmer of hope. Hope that she'll get the care and support she needs, and hope that she'll find some measure of peace and comfort in her final days. And to all of you who've been following along on this roller coaster ride with me, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your kind words, your support, your encouragement. It means more to me than you'll ever know. And who knows, maybe, just maybe this new chapter will bring with it a sense of healing and closure for me, my mom, and for our entire family. Here's hoping. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.